Oh, I'm here in my hometown with one of my best mates, Oscar. Hello, Ozzy. You alright?
Hello, Mitch.
All good. Ozzy is the manager of the Regent Centre Theatre and Cinema.
Yeah.
And you do lots of art stuff as well.
Yeah, a bit of everything.
Yeah. Ozzy's an amazing guy. He's had quite a incredible career. He's worked all over the bloody place. What have you done? You've worked in the your longest. Is it the longest running theatre show, Wicked?
Yeah, I mean, I think on the West End, certainly. I think it's been there for a fair amount of time.
And that's all down to you?
Yeah, I am the reason.
Absolutely. And you were in charge of the Leicester Square Cinema?
Yeah, I worked at Odeon Leicester Square for a couple of years after the refurbishment. I've sort of worked for Odeon for a number of years, moved about the place, and I've landed back in our hometown, in our...
Yeah, you performed at this theatre back like, in a legendary performance they still talk about to this day.
Yeah, I had a guest actually yesterday saying I saw you in Guiding Dolls, which was a huge moment for me.
You were in charge of the film premieres. Can you tell us any celebrity gossip stories?
Yeah, it's sworn to secrecy, but it's I think it's working cinema is a really interesting career, and you end up in. I've been really lucky to work for amazing cinemas, and working stuff like Leicester Square, you end up in. Yeah, lots of interesting situations with celebrities that are having an amazing time for their new films. They're very passionate about it, but also I'm the guy that plies them with alcohol, so that was always a good role.
Absolutely. And I'm sure the filmmakers are quite involved and interested in the actual projection of the films at their own premiere. And that's we're going to talk today about film projection, and we're in an amazing place. This blew me away. I asked Ozzy if I could come and have a look at his projection setup, and he didn't really tell me anything about it. Just like, oh yeah, come down. And then I've walked in here, and it's an actual museum. It's incredible. We'll have a little walk around, and then we'll talk about it in more detail, just to show you the context of what we're talking about. Old film projectors, it's like magic lantern-y stuff, and then the modern stuff. Incredible. Do you want to just give us a tour of the place?
Yeah.
And we'll go through. We've got loads of old posters on this wall as you just come in the door.
So this is kind of I guess it's kind of an amassment of a series of volunteers' lives who've been very passionate about local cinema. There is a kind of history of local cinema in this area, so. There used to be, at one point in the kind of 60s, 13 different cinemas in the Bournemouth and Christchurch area. The Regent has been here since 1931s and was built as a cinema. It was a bingo hall for a little bit and then reopened in '84 under the current charity as a kind of theatre. This is the history of kind of Bournemouth cinema. So the old ABCs, Odeons, Gaumonts, the Grand in Westbourne, and a whole host of different kind of things that, again, volunteers who've worked here have kind of collected information on and history of. We've got everything from old seats to classic film merchandise and food, even a working ticket machine, which
actually works, does it?
Does it? No! There we go.
Wow!
Here we go.
Amazing. Was this installed here?
Well, actually, no, this came from a volunteers collection, but it was a similar version that used to be here. So a lot of this stuff is stuff that people have amassed over the years from whole different places. They kind of scour eBay and different places and kind of pick up stuff.
Oh well, so you used to sell cigarettes in the cinema?
Yeah.
Was anybody able to see the screen?
I mean, a lot of the time, if you go into old cinemas, old cinemas, you'll see ashtrays on the back of other seats because everyone used to just smoke in the cinemas. So like, it was just
probably still nicotine staining on the ceilings and
100%. And so like, it's
you can tell a good pub when there's some nicotine staining on it. Because we've had a smoking van for like 20 years or something now, right?
This is actually the Regent, what it used to look like in the 60s, and so a big part of the refurbishment they've done over the last few years is trying to make our auditorium look like it did when it kind of was in its glory, while doing projection and theatre at the same time. We'll show you the auditorium in a minute.
Yeah, we'll go have a look at that.
I mean, it's kind of a collection of old, like Mitch kind of said, film equipment kind of across the years, advertising material, posters, a whole host of stuff, and while being a kind of working projection box. So we do modern digital film, so on a server, digital projector, all the housing, and we also still have a 35mm projector, so we can do traditional film, and with our partners at Dirt in the Gate, we do about once a month, we do kind of classic genre films on film, which is something I'm incredibly passionate about. The inside of here there's little bits of history of this place, but also the kind of projection teams that have worked here over the years, and some of them still volunteer here today. They've been here for about 40 years.
Amazing.
And they just love the building, and they love film, and they love the venue still happening. So It's a real amazing little story. But yeah, we have a Burco projector that's kind of about 10 years old, so it's coming to the end of its lifespan. We're looking at new laser projectors, but our classic trusty 35mm is still running to this day with a bit of love and care. So we are one of the only, well, about probably 10 to 12 cinemas in the UK still projecting on film.
Only
so
10 or 12?
It varies in terms of, there's a lot of places have the capacity, but it's a knowledge thing, and I think people don't know how to do it anymore. So it's again, we're partnered with a company called Dirt in the Gate who do a lot of our productions for us, but we've still got volunteers that can. And if you fancy a tour, we do tours about once a month of this building and a bit more of an in-depth history, more than I know about it. And we show a bit of reels of film and old newsreel and a little bit of what it used to be like in cinemas. Yeah, I'm very lucky to work here. The team that work here are very passionate about this being a success.
They seem it, yeah. It's an amazing collection, and the preservation of knowledge as well.
Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. I was really impressed when I took over here how much people knew, but also like they really care about it, and that's you know, makes the heart feel. It's,
absolutely. Do you find that the public also have still a love for film? Or?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. We've seen our kind of audience grow with the film products. What Dirt in the Gate specialise in is genre films. So we've seen our kind of audience as well. We average about 150 to 200 a showing, which for one film is awesome. I think a lot of the time mass audiences just want to watch the thing they want to watch, and so whether it's on film or whether it's on digital doesn't massively affect it. But the people that love it notice the differences and love that the real flicker, the colours, it's such a different ambiance to the film, and so people that are passionate about it are really passionate.
Yeah, I can tell that you've been indoctrinated.
I'm drinking the Kool-Aid.
Can we have a little look at the 35mm?
Yeah,
maybe you can talk me through the whole process of like, well, where does the film come from?
Yeah, so at the moment, a lot of distributors got rid of their 35mm reels when they digitised everything. So 35mm actual on film, because they have to exist. They also degrade over time. A lot of the time we're sourcing our films from either private collectors, people that own the films themselves, because the distributors have kind of got rid of stuff. So we bring the films in, they're put onto these spools and kind of like edited together. Each reel can do about an hour and a half, kind of varies on the film size.
So you're swapping?
We swap so that you'll have these multiple areas, so you'll put two on, so one on here and one on here. Okay. And so the film is constantly running, and it's built so there's no break-in feature. We used to only have one, so we used to have to take an interval, set up some ice creams.
Right.
That's
a good idea.
Yeah. From my selfish perspective, I want to sell ice creams and beer. But now we can do longer films. So stuff like Cinema Paradiso and these kind of epics we can do in one sitting if necessary.
Yeah.
And so it literally projects out. The film runs through onto the projector. It literally runs through the gate down here, and then spools back up again. So we have these kind of extra reels to kind of house stuff. And
so is that? Do you have to rewind it, or does it?
So the guys who look after this, I must admit, I'm not. I'm an absolute novice. They unspool them, but again, you can run them back. So using the machines, you can run them back, and then. But this is, like I say, kind of built to do everything you could do to put a film on. So whether that's splicing or editing together, or kind of even just running tests, it's all built and ready to go. Oh, can't even properly.
It's like the till in
yeah.
Do you get any new films on film?
Yeah. So we recently did the Licorice Pizza by Paul Thomas Anderson. Is that his name? I always get it wrong. But Licorice Pizza is the film. Sure. So when these new releases come out, we'll often pitch for it. It's such a different idea behind it because you obviously have one copy, so they only have a certain number of copies, so they can only do film in certain places at a certain amount of time. So often they'll have maybe 3 or 4 prints in the country, and so if we're doing it, that means we're one of only a couple of places nationally that are doing it. So we don't do as many. To be honest with you, they don't offer it as much. It's very specific directors. So Tarantino, it's these guys that know what they're doing, that love film. So we do get some modern releases, but it tends to be the classics. So we have a whole season on sale at the moment, and we do a 3-day grind fest, which is a 35mm film festival, which is our kind of, again, Dirt in the Gate lead it.
I think I'm going to have to get a ticket.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Come along, it's awesome. So 3 days of film, it's like a heck of a run. Lovely selection stuff.
When the new film comes in, Is there like security with it? Is someone's going to nick it and bootleg it?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to have a lot of equipment.
Unfortunately, it's less glamorous than that. A lot of the time, it's DPD turning up with a case and handing it over.
Yeah,
you know,
that's quite a big package as well.
Yeah.
Sound-wise, of the film, do you know much about like the sound setup?
Yeah, so we run a 7.1 sound Dolby audio. So I mean, we literally have 7 speakers across the auditorium.
Right.
7 channels of audio, effectively. That's the kind of way of looking at it.
Yeah.
Most stuff will be in 5.1. That tends to be how stuff's produced. You then have enhanced audio, which is like Dolby Atmos or something. That, you know, I've worked with Dolby quite a lot. IMAX have their own version of it. That will have kind of spatial audio, which will kind of have stuff that will use those speakers, kind of direct sound.
And this is only like one half really of the projection. You've also got the screen. Is there a special screen you have to use?
Yeah, so we bought a new screen imported from Canada this year. So we spent 60 grand on the screen, which is all singing, all dancing, with adjustable masking, so we can frame stuff like the different film products. So whether that's 35mm or whether that's digital, we can kind of amend it. But also, it's a retractable screen. That's why it costs so much money.
Of course, because you're a theatre
as well. So we can go from being a theatre to a cinema in about 15 minutes. So that's what kind of put the cost on it. Is we do a bit of everything. So to make it I think I would be comfortable saying that I think it's the highest presentation standard this building's had, certainly for a good while, and we're really pleased with the kind of level of film that we output.
Where do you actually store the films?
I mean,
you have to look after them, right?
I must admit, a lot of the time they'll be brought in kind of a few days before for the process. That we tend to mount them straight away. So once the work's done, they're ready. They stay mounted. We only really ever have one in at a time. And because they come from private collectors or one at a time, and it's once a month, we kind of can afford to manage it really carefully.
Amazing. And has anything ever gone wrong with the film projection?
So you know, digital film is more reliable, but stuff breaks a lot.
Stuff all over here.
And so like, you know, stuff goes wrong. Often it's human error. Is in the truth you know, but the biggest thing with digital projection is kind of like, you know, these digital unlock codes you have to get from distributors.
That's the security.
Security of it. Whereas with 35mm film, you've got the film, you can show it whenever you want, as many times as you want. So there's kind of a, you know, but I mean, with real stuff will go wrong, or on film often, you know, it gets old. They degrade over time.
That's it.
You open up a can, it smells like vinegar. That's a
nightmare.
But again, you can kind of see that it's not massively changed since it was going in the 80s. You know, it's the same setup, same portholes, same window, just different people, and that's kind of awesome. That means it's working.
So this is the digital set.
Yeah, so it's literally like, as mad as it sounds, right? It's that's our password.
Oh yeah, won't film that.
So it's all done on a VPN. So the server, literally, the digital server is here. This is it. It's the IMS 3000.
Okay.
It's a Dolby server. This is how you run the digital projector. So like, you know, everything is controlled from within here, from scheduling to content. So digital, you know, I can see for the next week we're locked and loaded for what we've got on and what we're showing, and it's kind of running through. You can make amendments. It's made film. It's democratized film. That's the big thing about it. Really reliable. It used to be that films would be sent on hard drives, that we would upload it manually.
Okay.
Now they're sent digitally. So we literally we log in, we check our like Landsat area.
Do you have to like, you know, download that? Like
literally download it.
Right.
So we have like a certain amount of storage that we can manage on here. So we have like about, you know,
you must have a fair bit.
10,736 gigabytes of storage that we manage and take content off of however long we kind of keep it for. But it's like enabled us to show multiple films a day, whereas on film you have one film.
It's a lot of work in between, right?
100%. For as much as I love film, this is how we make money to survive.
Sure. And that's obviously a big consideration, and it allows you to do the extra special film stuff.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. We use specific processors. We use a Dolby CP750.
Okay.
We specifically use this processor because you can output using digital and the projected sound on here. We're at the point where we're about to refurbish and bring in new amplifiers because we need a new system. It's about, some of this is 20 years old.
Okay.
Projector's 10. We've kind of come into the end of its lifespan. The way these run is they have bulbs inside that are like what they call xenon bulbs that get about, I mean, they vary in their lifespan, but we have to manage and maintain those, and they're what literally the light is projected through.
Yeah.
So they degrade over time. So when it gets darker on the edges, you can see the bulb is getting older.
Right.
But also they'll start to flicker, and you'll start seeing it. You know, often if you just come to cinema regularly, you probably won't notice it.
Right.
But you can tell a massive difference when you put a brand new bulb in, just how much brighter it is, how cleaner the picture is. This one tends to, because we'll power it all day, chew through bulbs, but they're about 400 quid depending on what you buy.
Okay. And
we will replace them, you know, if you're in a mainstream cinema, you're replacing them every kind of probably 3 to 5 months.
Wow.
We'll get 6 months out of it because we show it a bit less and we have off days and stuff we're not doing, but yeah, they're a hell of a machine.
Is there much maintenance with these? You have to do apart from changing the bulbs?
Changing the bulbs is just, we take them out and check them, but it's a big safety feature because they get so hot they can explode. And that's how a lot of projectors will, if they do break, they break properly. So there's a lot of PPE and safety equipment. Biggest thing is keeping dust out, so trying to keep this as a clean environment. So dust kills projectors, whether it's older ones or here. These haven't been cleaned this week, I can see, because the dust on the top and it's annoying me. But the biggest maintenance we do is like make sure the lamp hours, make sure the screens are accurate as it can be. We're kind of like running stuff through, but it's also, we have a company called Omnex who are projection professionalists who provide our support. So because it's all digital, a lot of the time they can dial in from anywhere and say this is the problem, and then they can diagnose issues for us and kind of catch stuff before it even becomes an issue. We pay them a contract and they're worth every single penny. They are awesome. Again, the kind of sad thing about cinema is that the skill of it has slightly been taken away. So what you get is jack of all trades like myself, who is a manager first, who then learns projection rather than being projectionist. So that skill of it's slightly been taken out of the industry, and maintenance and control is gone to companies because that's the most efficient way to run it.
Sorry, you were just explaining to me about the playlists.
Yeah, so we build playlists out with commands that will run house lights, sound volume, all control from here. So we have default playlists to kind of run through with its set timers. We mark to black and then we kind of go through, and then everything we want the players to play, whether that's ads and trailers, idents, eventually build through, and then you build into like features and you know, feature rating tags. That's kind of legal compliance for BFC. And even then turn off the projector and shutting down. So it's all automated. It's kind of a bit of a peek behind the curtain a bit, but like, so we build playlists, we put them in a scheduler, and then it does what we ask you to do.
That's an important. You're making an experience for people. Right? And the house light's going down at the right moment. Like whenever you're at a gig or at a cinema, it's a good moment,
100%,
right?
100%.
So it's important to put those house lights down at the right
100%.
moment.
and you know, making sure we're editing stuff correctly and just building to that feeling of excitement that you're in the auditorium.
There's a real theatre to the cinema.
100%. And so the company here are really passionate about. We have these beautiful red curtains, and we do a traditional presentation, which is to start with curtains closed. We open with the ads and trailers. We close them before the ads and trailers, and then we project the title card onto the curtains, and then we open the curtains on the title card. So it's as a kind of a nod to traditional cinema. So, and that's a big thing that's been driven in here through the chairman down. That actually, like, that's really important to us, and presentations are really important to us. So all of our we have a 30-minute lead time. We try and give people enough time to kind of get that down. But it's all about making sure that everything is as perfect as it can be.
That's something that the average person might miss, but it's preserved from the
100%.
tradition.
Undervalued by most people, but the people that care about it, it really
matters.
Yeah. So that's our. So I'll show you. So we have lights, the tabs, the curtains down the side there that are that illuminate. And then take the house lights down. So we illuminate the curtains, and then
it looks great.
So we do that on every single production we put in. So it's
there's something that just gives you a little shot of adrenaline.
Yeah, man, I love it.
I don't know what it is, but
Let's go. This is
something's about to happen.
It's a big moment.
There you go. Look at that. I mean, you're absolutely right. The presentation is incredible,
and that's really, really important to people.
At that moment, you're not thinking about the outside world, are you?
No, it's a completely immersive experience, and it's back to normal.
How amazing to watch it through the projectionist is a peephole. What's the technical term?
Porthole. Yeah, porthole, peephole, it's all the same really. If you're lucky, you're in the back row, you can hear someone swearing when stuff's going wrong. What's going on? These haven't run for, I want to say 60, 70 years, but it's amazing to kind of see the evolution of stuff.
Absolutely, you've got it all in one room.
In one room,
it's amazing.
And to go from like
can't be many places like this.
It's a pretty unique experience. I think the big challenge is making sure, and I kind of said to you earlier, but like making sure it's accessible, and while we're really passionate about it, it's also probably not in the most accessible spot. Being in the projection box is up a
sure,
set
we
of
had
stairs.
We had to climb up the stairs outside to get to it.
And so, because it's an original projection box, kind of part of the safety features is you always have exits to get away from if film was combusting.
Wow,
really,
yeah,
you know,
especially before you had safety film.
Yeah, you know. I suppose I should nod to John, who was kind of one of the driving forces to make sure the museum happened, and you know, there's the guys like Phil and Gary, you know, and David and Barry, and all the guys that research, you know, really passionate about this place and really care about it. This was the first thing ever shown at the Regent. So
first thing.
It was The Taming of the Shrew on Boxing Day 1931. This was the first film we ever showed, and we have actually bought it on DVD. So we have a DVD version of it that we show on anniversary. So it was our 90th birthday last Boxing Day, and we put it on DVD. So it's a kind of way of showing it. It's quite short.
I wonder if there's any film around still of it.
Yeah, we've tried to hunt it down, and like places don't seem to have it, but it's
you never know.
Yeah,
it might be in a basement somewhere.
Anyone's got to Taming the Shrew from 19. The film's from 29.
You're not tempted to bring back these tickets?
It's not quite practical. A big part of our restoration was restoring original seats, so we've got a version of these downstairs. So beautiful.
Do you have to reupholster them?
We bought bespoke style seats that have got from this company that are specifically 1930s design, and even to the point where like the carpet we've sourced is a unique carpet design.
You've really gone to the detail, yeah.
Because the guys that are here are so passionate, they love it,
and it's the USP of the theatre.
Yeah, I mean it keeps it interesting, and I think you know you attract a certain audience that also loves this kind of thing.
And you keep it alive as well, don't you?
That's it. That's just it, man. That's just it.
So when the films are running, even the new stuff, is somebody in here constantly?
No. Okay. So the new stuff is designed to run independently.
Yes.
So
automated.
Automated completely. Right. So you as a manager on the floor, we set up PCs downstairs so you can check in and see stuff.
Yeah.
But a lot of the time it's visual, physical checks. So someone will say it's not started or there's a problem, and so you know you have issues and you manage it. But it's designed to be run by the shift manager that's running the front of the house that runs the building. But the 35mm stuff will have projections in here the whole time, because they're constantly checking the projector, making sure it's even and level, and that the film's coming through correctly, playing at the right speed, the sound's synced.
There's a lot going on.
Skill to it.
You're not required to watch Finding Nemo 20 times.
I'd love to, but no, I'm not. I was chatting to a friend about it last week that like I think I watch less films now. I've started working on cinemas.
There's a bit of a busman's holiday.
It is, but at the same time, I also love it. Plus, I get really picky about stuff. So if I go, if things aren't right, when I used to work for.
You need to change your xenon bulb.
Yeah, I'd be like, this isn't good enough, or like your process is gone, or this is blown, or this doesn't sound right, or like your audio's off, or whatever else. And, like,
so true.
You have less and less of those in digital cinemas, so it also there's no excuses, but people will, and it's. But yeah, now I've just calmed down about it and just enjoy the film.
Okay, yeah.
The stars, they have these lights on the side here. They were installed in the 60s, and like the idea behind them initially was to look like Sputnik.
Oh wow! I know. Very of the time, yeah. I suppose cutting edge technology.
You know, and so we found 2 of them. So there's 2 on the wall still, but there was 6 originally.
But they just tucked away in the cupboard.
They found them, They found them underneath they were stored underneath the circle in the void.
Right.
But yeah, it's you can see the kind of like these big auditoriums. It's like parquet floor, interesting kind of retail spaces, and
it's so funny, isn't it, that people at one point thought, no, this doesn't work anymore. Let's rip it out.
100%. You end up kind of discovering stuff or trying to restore stuff, and it needs to also be practical. That's the big thing about it.
What we got here? Old film reels.
I mean, old film reels. Normally trailers. They tend to be the ones that get left behind.
Okay.
There's
you got an Academy Award.
Taming the Shrew.
Oh, there you go. That is the DVD. So if you come here on an anniversary,
that's what
you'll be watching that DVD.
I have to announce at the start of every film that it's not on 35mm, that it's a DVD. And everyone's it's like, wow.
But you know, never know. In the future, may go back to film if we manage to find one.
If anyone's got a coffee, I will we'll buy it off you.
And it's all 35mm stuff.
Yeah. So obviously, like with digital projection, you've kind of got a few different sizes. There's 70mm, 35mm, or home projectors tend to be kind of 8mm or 16, just to kind of the width of the actual.
Yeah.
the bigger cinemas, your West Ends, your Leicester Squares, your IMAXs will often run on 70mm film, and that tends to be what, you know, again, like Tarantino, when he releases his film, will be on 70mm. So
and the bigger the film, the kind of bigger the quality.
Yeah, exactly. That's the idea. Exactly that. That's exactly it. I think, you know, but 35mm is kind of massively produced.
That's what your kind of ordinary like Canon still for
100%
camera will take as well.
100%.
It just looks like this, doesn't it?
Exactly that. Yeah.
With the they've got the sprockets on the side.
Yeah.
And that gets pulled. That pulls the film through.
Yeah.
You know, it's proper Heath Robinson. These old ones, isn't it?
Yeah.
The mechanisms and stuff is incredible. I mean, to make that.
The thing is, like, often with like digital projectors, they'll degrade and die over time. These projectors, if you maintain them and keep parts for them, they'll just live forever. And even like with picture quality, like I was talking about the bulbs degrading, over time they degrade and you just have to replace the bulbs. With the old projectors, you can up the wattage, put more power through and get more light out of it, so you can run them harder.
I thought about that.
But whereas like the digital projectors, they're so controlled that they just do what they're told, but they're not. You don't. There's not as much kind of skill to it. Lenses are a whole other thing. I don't even know.
Lenses,
I mean, like, so lenses for projectors are like specific lenses for different things. We've just bought a new lens for the 35mm to kind of make sure it's a neater shot to it. We also, the Dirt the Gate guys will do 3D films with different lenses that do the traditional 70s 3D.
Wow, I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, they do these like. So modern 3D generally on a specific screen, and then we don't have that screen. So they do this kind of like, we do this, I can't remember what the actual term for it is, but we've got Jaws 3D, not Jaws, but Jaws 3-D,
right?
Third Jaws series. It's wild. We've got a 3D version of that coming up. And a special 3D film part of Grimefest as part of the 3-day ticket. So we do 3D here, which is the first time 3D's probably ever been done in the region. So
that's incredible, and probably not many other places really.
I mean, again, it's like we're really lucky to partner with a company that are passionate about it, and also based in Bournemouth. So like, it really helps us, and they're a fantastic group.
There's a little extra room in here, right? What's in this room?
So it's kind of, we use it as it's kind of our like cubbyhole storage with extra projection.
You just got another vintage film projector in there just for fun.
And I'll whack the auditorium lights on.
Okay, and we'll be able to see it through that little window there. Look at this incredible thing.
So you end up sticking your head out the window.
Okay. So we can open this, right?
Yeah. Is the sound playing? Is the sound playing? And so you can see.
Look at that. So this is the projectionist view.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful old theatre, isn't it?
Yeah, man, we're really lucky. 500 seats, but also the people that have cared about it have put money into it and made sure it stayed really pristine. And again, I'm very, very lucky to work here. Some cool photos in here. So like, this is like the old staff on this rooftop. So where our satellite dish is now, there's no staff. And we've actually got one of these uniforms replicated. So we've got one downstairs that we pull out occasionally. But
great. For the anniversary showing.
Anniversary showings. You want to tame the tree, you'll see somebody dressed in this big purple uniform, but this is the old staff of the region. It's 38. This is about open 31, so 6-7 years after it opened. And you can kind of see history of the building throughout its time. So 67, flat fronted, old kind of bookshops.
Got a new sign on there.
New sign. 87, they added a canopy at some point. Some point in the 60s, they added a canopy, which went over the top and across the flat fronts.
And the Ice Palace, I guess.
Yeah,
ice cream.
I have no idea what it is. Whether that's a film, whether that's a. But yeah, this is what it used to be. The old W.H. Smith used to be where our box office is now. Then it's times a bingo hall in the 70s, so they took out the bottom stools and put a bingo hall in, traditional seats still. And then kind of, this is what it was before the Regent went in. So an old bookshop that kind of ran across this site. This whole room is called the Spreadbury Suite after this gentleman. He's kind of like one of the family volunteers that's heavily involved in this process. This is an interesting shot of the High Street because Christchurch High Street hasn't changed.
It hasn't, has it?
In 70 years.
That's a nice thing, I suppose.
But yeah, so you can see kind of the region, and we've now taken over this bit, and our offices are in this block as well now. So, and then you kind of a bit of our modern history. So again, the 20s, and then these are the guys that were in '83. So the charity just taken over the building, so they put the projector in. So
they're not happy.
Yeah, awesome.
They're very happy to be projectionists.
They love being up there, and Kit Townsend and Janet Townsend are two of the founders who are a husband and wife couple who Janet's still involved with the Regent. She's been here since the beginning and she's awesome. She absolutely loves it.
And that's the room where we've just been.
Let me show you this. So I love this bit. So this is our auditorium. It hasn't changed much since it opened in 1930. They did a big refurbishment during the lockdown with these new seats, styled like the old seats. Colour scheme in here was meant to look like how it was kind of in the 50s and 60s. Neutral colours, pinks, silvers, golds. The Sputnik lights.
The Sputnik lights, yeah.
But then you can kind of see how this has evolved. So you can see our theatre truss across the top, where we have our lights that are a big part of our being able to kind of function here is doing a mix of shows. So like tonight we have Diana Ross and Lionel Richie tribute act.
Amazing. Coming
and rocking the building. Yeah, I'd be remiss for not mentioning our bespoke print carpet that is lined throughout the building in this kind of 1930s style print. I love watching films in the balcony.
Right.
And that is the room we've just come from. So that's our little projection box in there. We put the original spotlights in and put them back, kind of, and it's just, I love it. I love it. I love it. We've gone to great lengths to get the original lights into the automation. They used to not be. So if you left them on, they just got to stay on the whole film. That's actually our lighting booth for. So we have a sound booth in the front, of course, a lighting booth for theatre. So it's,
there's a sound booth.
Watching films from a balcony is such a rare experience because so many cinemas now don't have balconies because they're all single screens or single level or multiplexes, and there's something about looking down on a film that I just can't get enough of. Makes a real big difference to me.
That is true. Yeah, you sometimes feel, especially if you book late minute, you get a ticket in the front row. You're a little bit overwhelmed sometimes with the screen. 100%. You get a crick in your neck. You don't think about the actual, comfort of actually just looking straight ahead.
100%. Yeah. What was interesting, so when I worked at Leicester Square, we did a Tarantino premiere for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and we had him seats in these royal balcony seats. He was maybe sat there, and he was like, "No, I want to go at the back because I want to be by the projection box. I want to see the light just above my head."
Right.
So he sat in the cheapest seat we had, and he sat right at the back in this I think it was about 4 rows from the back in this beautiful building because that's where he likes to sit because he wants to be able to hear all of the sound, have a full view of the screen and see that projection light being above his head, and I think that's really cool, and I think that's a good sentiment for watching films. I think is embrace it.
Do you reckon that film is here to stay?
It's a great question. Obviously that big thing of film is dead, it was a big thing for a little while. I think what you're seeing in the British market is a growth in people that want to see films, because when you come and watch something on film, and specifically celluloid film, it's a unique experience because once that film was run through that projector, that showing can never be replicated. It's a one-off experience, and that experience will impact the film. It will put a mark on it, or it will change it, and that will never be the same again. I also think digital film has enabled us to show more stuff, which is exciting. That's the flip side of it. I think if you can find a balance between the two, there's got to be kind of an option for the future. But it's an interesting time we live in with access to streaming services and film available all the time. How do we make these experiences worthwhile? I think putting stuff on film makes it very special and encourages people to come back, but it's certainly it's an interesting question for film at this time. Go watch a film. What do you mean? You're on a sunny day, where else do you want to be?